This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by
if you guys are lucky, the cops will come and stop you from talking, so we'll see how that goes.
more crazy comments from cops. Here's archival video of Andrew Carroll from Keene, New Hampshire,
Alright, fair enough.
getting arrested over roughly a quarter ounce of marijuana. He did 6 days in jail. And here's Enfield Police Chief Richard Crate, essentially telling a House committee it never happened.
People are not going to jail over minor possessions of marijuana. It's not happening. The people that we're seeing with these things, you know, from a law enforcement perspective, in our courts, you know, we're not doing that.
They don't need to read me my rights. There you go. We're okay, we're okay.
I have a question. Who was harmed?
Now, even if we assume there's been a loosening of law enforcement since last January, how does this authoritarian apostle explain these small possession arrests from October '09? Or this shakedown of 420 celebrators in January? It led to one minor possession arrest. These are just the ones we have on video. Even if you assume that the place they were taken was not a jail when they were arrested, most of these arrestees will eventually do time in the county jails for their arrests.
I could ask you a dozen questions on the things you said, which, if you really have done any research, the science doesn't back you up.
Apparently, the relevant state reps, for once, are sympathizing more with Representative Tim Robertson here than with the reactionary cops. A House committee, not sure which one, just came within an ace of voting for full legalization. And the only reason they didn't vote all the way for it is that some wish to send the issue to a study committee first. So the sympathies are anti-prohibition in the relevant House committee. See video descript for details on that vote. The Injuns are coming over the hills, but the prohibitionist Custer is bound and determined to hold an indefensible position. Meanwhile, anti-prohibition presidential hopeful Gary Johnson visits New Hampshire and speaks out on the general issue.
I think that issue ranks.
I'll tell you what, I think it's one of the biggest issues in this country when you consider that half of what we spend on law enforcement, half of what we spend in the courts, and half of what we spend in the prisons is drug-related. People continue to use drugs, and by no means do I condone recreational use of drugs, whether that be marijuana or any other drugs. I think that marijuana should be legal. I think that we should adopt harm reduction strategies regarding all the other drugs. And when I say harm reduction strategies, I mean reducing death, disease, crime, and corruption.
Johnson is considered an unofficial contender in the race to fill Ron Paul's presidential campaign shoes. This, of course, assuming Paul does not run in 2012. I was disappointed Johnson didn't get more of a splash when he visited New Hampshire, and that his interviews with New Hampshire Watchdog didn't get more hits. But he's visiting the state 3 years before the relevant presidential election. Ron Paul, on the other hand, first visited 2 years before the relevant election. Driving in circles around Central Keene, I hurl both insults, angry and mean, against the activists from Free Keene, who wander around thinking as though they were free, and even though they aren't hurting me, I will hate them hatefully, urging their appearance in the penitentiary, although that expense would be charged to me. I'm starting to feel somewhat confusedly.